How was your meeting with the Dalai Lama? What was his energy?
I really felt that when you're with him, you just feel so at ease and you're feeling very relaxed. So, he's a child, but still be 85 years, I think, this year. Have a very guiding, strong spirit.
The world of startups looks up to Sweden for their design sensibilities.
Yeah.
Like the way the products are designed. Like if you look at Spotify, it's a very stylishly designed product.
Yeah.
Same with Skype, same with IKEA. Why is that? Like
Swedes are well traveled. We do take the opportunity to travel to see, other countries. When we are 10, we need to pick up one more language. We need to learn either French, Spanish or German. But again, that whole thing also from an entrepreneurial point of view, having to think global to be able to succeed.
How much guy attention do you get just for being a foreigner in India?
I mean, obviously I see, people look at me and they smile at me and, I smile back. But, are they going to come and ask me for my number or, take me out on a date? This whole taking me out on a date it's not really happening.
It's not happening in India.
Definitely not at the level that it does in other parts of the world.
So since the last couple of years, BeerBiceps Media World has been investing in a bunch of tech startups. And the lady that we're featuring on the show today is a tech mentor of mine. She's someone who connected us to the right tech startups to invest in. She's someone who taught me about the investments game in the Indian startup space. But most importantly, she's been a silent mentor to me. The thing is, in a media career, you keep rising up the ranks and you keep finding yourself in rooms with people with extremely large reputations. So to hold your own in rooms like that, you've got to have good people skills. Now, Cecilia Oldne is not someone who's just taught me about startups. She's also taught me about people skills. She's Swedish. She's lived in India for over 15 years. She's built a very powerful network of both Swedes and Indians. And I just had to feature her on the show today. She's been a mentor to me for a long time now. And I think you're going to enjoy this episode. Spoke about everything from what it's like living as a foreigner in India to her own perspectives about the Indian startup space, to even her dating life and how she perceives life as a 30-something who's still single. Some very amazing, well-traveled perspectives on the show today. This is Cecilia Oldne's story. And for more stories, make sure you follow us on Spotify. We're a Spotify exclusive, which means that every episode is available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. This is Cecilia Oldne on The Ranveer Show. Cecilia Oldne. Am I saying that right?
That's correct.
Welcome to the Ranveer Show, to one of the most interesting people that my career has made me meet. And thank you for all your contributions to my career, honestly.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I can say the same about you, I must say.
The first time I ever met you was in, let's just say, a meeting with a lot of important people. And I was a really young kid back then. And you were really kind to me in that room. You were sitting next to me, but I felt very comfortable sitting next to you. In terms of, for a 24-year-old, 25-year-old, it can be very intimidating to be with the who's who of different industries. And here you're sitting next to me and you just had a normal conversation. And since the time I've known you, I've observed this about you, that you're a very nice person. You make people around you very comfortable. That's why people are drawn to you. And that's why your career has grown the way it's grown also. That's what I feel.
Means a lot to hear from you.
My first question to you, Cecilia.
Shoot.
Is what's it like living as a foreigner in India?
It's amazing. I love every bit of it. It's been 15 years and I've learned so much about the country, about the people, and I hope I have also inspired many people by being here. But everything has been great. Has ups and downs, but overall, बहुत अच्छे.
How much Hindi do you know?
मेरी हिंदी थोड़ी बोलती है.
Okay, fine. Why don't you give an introduction to the listeners a little bit about your career currently? I think you've had a lot of switches in your career. But why are you in India off late? Like, what do you do right now?
So I first came to India in 2007, and that was to be part of the Indian wine revolution. And that was to build a wine company, Sula. And I spent 10 years doing so. I don't know if you want to hear more about the stories of Sula. Maybe we'll come back to that later. Well, we're the largest wine company in India today. We have a 65% market share. In 2019, we were the most visited winery in the world. So that was an amazing journey to be a part of. I'm from Sweden, as you know, but I felt that Sweden was too small for me, 10 million people. It felt like I could do more, and I wanted to go to developing industry. I was looking at China. I was looking at India, Brazil, even the Middle East. But India called me. I met a Stanford-trained engineer, Rajiv Samant, in South Africa. Long story short, he called me to India and asked me to be part of, building his empire and making his dream come true. So that's how it ended up in India. And after that, I moved into doing other things in terms of, wine investments, because I also understood that wine is, it's an asset class, and you can, invest in wines and make a lot of money. So I had myself a portfolio, and then I joined a wine investment firm.
Okay, let me ask you this. You've been here since 2007, which makes it 15 years, roughly, that you've been in India?
Yeah, that's correct.
How much has India changed in the last 15 years from your perspective as someone who grew up in Sweden versus coming here?
There's so many things. I'm just thinking from the time that I came, Google Maps was a new thing, So even traveling around was very different. And, because, many roads doesn't necessarily even have a name to them. So I think what has happened with the whole developments of tech and infrastructure has made it so much easier to navigate in the country. So I think the infrastructure, what has changed in terms of, I think I even also see people becoming, more open-minded and, being more exposed to the global opportunities.
Yeah, I do feel that smaller cities in India still have some catching up to do, but it's okay. They are catching up at a very fast rate, and they're almost like the urban centers. The urban centers have become extremely westernized, and for me, the good thing is that a lot of urban Indians are deciding against moving abroad, which was very different even 7 years back when I was in college, 8 years back, where every urban Indian was thinking about settling abroad. So was I, until I just figured, no, I want to stay here and do something in the country, for the country. So people are coming back. Lots of people are choosing to stay here and go down that same path of trying to build India, because somewhere there is also a capitalistic intention of knowing that we have a huge population that's getting rapidly educated and rapidly upscaled in terms of spending ability. So we know that there is going to be huge business opportunity in the next 10, 15, 20 years. So this is the land to be doing your entrepreneurship right now.
Absolutely. And that's also why I'm still here. But I've seen so many people, as you said, that were actually moving away when I first came, and they're back because they realize this is the place to be. And also when I'm traveling around the world, the country that has so much pulling power now in regards to everything that is happening is India. So it's an exciting place to be.
Okay, now let's shift gears and ask you a little bit more about what it's like being a foreigner in India. And I'm going to take the liberty of knowing you personally and therefore asking you a rude question pretty early on in the podcast. How much guy attention do you get just for being a foreigner in India? From Indian men?
But attention, maybe people, do I see that they look at me because I'm blonde, or do I look different? Is it guy attention or women? But I think that's it's not necessarily men come up to me and approach me. I feel I get that actually when I'm in Sweden more. And I don't know what that is, why it is. But I do feel that maybe people are scared. Maybe I come across being too different. But obviously I see, people look at me and they smile at me and I smile back. But, are they going to come and ask me for my number or, take me out on a date? This whole taking me out on a date it's not really happening.
It's not happening in India.
Definitely not at the level that it does in other parts of the world.
Really? So you're saying that in other countries, men come up more easily and at least initiate conversation, but in India it doesn't happen as much.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
No, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but why is it like that? I don't know what it is, but maybe it could be that they're scared of, I don't know. Is it? I don't know what it potentially could be. This is something that, I'm trying to understand myself. But, I'm very open to people coming up to talk to me, women, men, if it's an advice or anything that they want. But obviously, if there is someone that is interesting, just go for it.
Maybe it's a confidence issue. So
Yeah.
like the thing is, and this I'm telling you as your friend, you exude like a lot of confidence. Not negative confidence, not arrogance. It's just like you're very like calm and collected and happy with yourself. So I think when you see someone with that kind of confidence, a lot of guys would get intimidated by any woman, not just a foreigner. But
Yeah.
because you're a foreigner, that intimidation just goes to another level.
Yeah, maybe.
So what's the actual story behind Sula? Like, how did it start? Because I remember when Sula came up in India, it kind of took the space by storm. This is back when I used to drink as well. So
You had Sula.
yeah, of course, a lot.
Wow.
Probably the first wine I
Didn't
ever had
know
in my
this.
life was Sula.
Happy to hear.
Yeah. So, but how did you guys tie up? In terms of like, did you get some kind of wine education when you were in Sweden? Like, did you know a lot about wine?
I did. Well, I was first my godfather that was an entrepreneur, and he started a couple of businesses in wines in Sweden, in Europe. And then he started a new business where he was going to do like a disruptive way to get into the monopoly in Sweden. And monopolies is quite difficult to sell alcohol because it has to go through a particular store. And long story short is that he asked me because, he knew that I was a, go-getter to join his company to help him to get these listings at the monopoly. I didn't know anything about wines at that time.
Or business?
I knew business. I had international business background and marketing. Okay. And, that's kind of my forte. And then obviously I had this whole, fearless kind of approach, ADHD athlete aura that he captured very early. And he said, I want you to work with me and I want you to help me with this company. So I joined him. It's very difficult for me to say no to someone that I also like a lot. And this was like my godfather's cousin, actually. So I joined him and I started, coming up with plans to sell wines and market wines, and we were importing wines from New World. And I though realized that if I'm going to be able to sell the product, I need to be able to know more about the product than the person that I'm selling it to. And that's when I studied to become a sommelier. So
what is that?
Sommelier is it's literally someone that knows a lot about wine, water, tobacco, coffee, tea, etc.
So you're that person where at wine tastings where rich people attend the event, you teach the rich people about wine.
Now I do it because now I work with wine investments. So now it's definitely the rich people because these are the people that I build portfolios for. And originally it was more about, understanding wine and learning about wines. But it wasn't a passion. It was more like a business approach to it, to know more about the product and the person that I was selling it to.
But why, what made you stay back in this country other than like the career stuff? Is there something of the people? Is there the whole spiritual angle? Like, do you feel that?
Yeah, I always felt very connected to India. So I always felt that, when I was a young girl, I was having Indian goddesses and gods,
really?
in my, room. And I always had like Nag Champa as my favorite incense stick. So it was always like the aroma of India and the it was something always that connected with India. But also my grandparents, they lived in Thailand. So I always had that kind of an Asian connect since a young age. But there has been something special about India. So I'm sure that I'm here for more reasons than just being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I mean, I might be wrong, but this is what I've observed, that a lot of Europeans and Americans are willing to leave their home country and go settle in other countries as compared to urban Indians. And urban Indians go to another country only for career opportunities. But I feel you guys, like Westerners, generally go to other countries also to like discover themselves and all that. Yeah. Why is that? Like, what's it like growing up as a European?
No, so I think different Europeans have different backgrounds. But Sweden, for example, we're only 10 million people. So that's, it's a very small country. And only to be able to excel, you need to think global. So that's one thing when it comes to the Swedish, mindset and the entrepreneurs. So there's so many, of course, unicorns coming out of Sweden. You have Spotify, Klarna, Truecaller, yes, and Skype and Mojang, Candycraft and these companies, they're Swedish. So these companies were always from the beginning thinking global. And that's one thing that we Swedes have to a certain extent as a mindset. But also Swedes are well-traveled. We do take the opportunity to travel to see, other countries, we do take the opportunity to learn about other cultures as well. Even in school at a very early age, we learn about different, countries, and we even go. Of course, it's a privilege to have that. We go to other countries, for educational tours, etc. And then we learn languages at a very early age. We start learning English when we're 6, just before we go to first grade, and then we. When we are 10, we need to pick up one more language. We need to learn either French, Spanish, or German.
Wow.
So that's like, it also gives us a more international, mindset when we learn languages and when we travel. But again, that whole thing also from an entrepreneurial point of view, having to think global to be able to succeed is quite interesting.
The entrepreneurial standpoint is that the world of startups looks up to Sweden for their design sensibilities.
Yeah.
Like the way the products are designed. Like if you look at Spotify, it's a very stylishly designed product.
Yeah.
Same with Skype, same with IKEA. Like so many things in this room that people are seeing on this podcast are from IKEA because there's a very strong design sensibility.
I saw that actually.
Why is that? Like, is it something you learn in school, like design thinking, aesthetics? Is it a part of your culture?
I think it's the IKEA also stands a bit for the minimalistic. So it's like, it's not cluttered. And I think that's something that also attracts many who might be in a space where it is cluttered.
You once told me about a very interesting Viking custom. So traditionally, Sweden was the land of the Vikings. And you told me about this event that you guys have in the summer, I think, or when spring kicks in.
That's maybe the midsummer?
Yes. Would you like to share that? That was
it's
very
beautiful.
Interesting.
I'm actually going now to Sweden in a couple of days, and then I'll definitely gonna spend that beautiful festival in Stockholm this time. And it's the longest day of the year, so it's the solace, summer solstice. Summer solstice. And what people do this time is that they dress up in white, and they pick flowers. And they make, flower crowns, and then we dance throughout the night. It's also the festival of, they say, when it starts like the fertility. So that's like the maximum number of babies are being made. Having said that, if you don't have a partner, what you do is that you pick 7 flowers and you put it under your pillow. And then you dream about your future husband or wife that night. So it's a very exciting day, and it's a beautiful festival. You must come for it. You'll love it.
I intend on visiting Sweden this year.
Yeah, you won't be able to come. 24th of June.
That's like now. You're a really nice person, Cecilia. Like you're the kind of person who'll always try to make everyone around you very comfortable. Is that like a very Viking culture thing? Because while Vikings were looked at as like people who went and conquered other countries, there's this whole other side to Vikings being friendly and open. And I remember once having this conversation with you about how you said that certain elements of Viking culture have stayed with like modern day Nordic countries. So would you agree?
Well, I mean, thank you very much for thinking that I'm nice. I hear that from time to time, that I'm welcoming, that I'm, warm, that I let people in. But also, I mean, mujhko aap bahut pasand hai. So I also really, resonate with like-minded people. And I'm also more open, I think, with people that I really like. But when it comes back to then being Vikings, we were not always the nicest people. We went to countries and we didn't do the nicest thing. We took over countries and we took over people. We took over wives and, husbands for that matter. But what the Vikings did, though, that they were always working together. They were working as a group, the men was fighting, the women were fighting, and they did everything together. So they didn't exclude anyone. It was always like, everyone were the same.
And maybe the aggressive warriors are now in UK and Russia and all these places, and all the nice ones stayed back in
we
Sweden.
Made friends. I mean, we took them back to Sweden, or we stayed with them, and then I think we became more culturally open mind.
Let's talk about India. You've traveled around the country. So which part of India do you find like very, very fascinating?
I think all different parts have their charm. But one place that I very much feel at home in is Rajasthan.
Okay.
Jaipur, Udaipur, Jodhpur. have a lot of friends there. I also love to spend time in Goa. I like the whole vibe there and the beach, and we used to have a place there. So I just, that feels like my second home from Bombay. Then I like the mountains, Dharamshala. It's also very, very sacred, and I really like the energy that is there, and I've had the opportunity to have seatings with the Dalai Lama, and that is just a place that has a special connect. And
How was your meeting with the Dalai Lama?
it was I met him a few times now, but the last time I met him was on my birthday about 5 years ago, and it was very special. We had a good
what did he tell you?
conversation. I mean, it's a very long story on how that meeting actually happened and why it happened, and I think we'll have to do like a separate podcast only about that.
But what was the gist of the conversation? Like, what did he tell you?
Well, he told me a couple of things. He told me about what I should focus on in terms of what I'm building, in terms of why I'm in India, in terms of my opportunity to educate, and in terms of touching more people around different subjects. But he also told me that I have a third eye. So he...
that I agree with very strongly.
Oh. Well, that was special. So he kept on like picking me on my forehead and like, third eye.
Yeah.
So that was a special moment.
What was his energy?
It's just like, it just doesn't even feel like, that he is human. He just puts you also on a frequency, and I give you that as well. I just feel so comfortable with you, because we're just on the same, frequency. And I really felt that when you're with him, you just feel so at ease, and you're feeling very relaxed. And he's also very child alike. So he's like a child, but still 85 years I think this year. But it's very easygoing, and have a very guiding, strong spirit.
Okay.
You haven't met him personally yet?
Not personally, but it's in my heart to meet him.
Yes. Whatever you put it out there, it will happen. That's exactly what I
100%.
did when I wanted to have that personal, discussion with him.
With you, Cecilia, like, you're just, for me in my heart, you're not really Swedish or Indian or anything like that. You're just someone I've learned from a lot. It's a big reason I wanted to have you on the show, because you've been like an unofficial mentor to me in like some ways, be it like guiding me in business. I remember during the lockdown, I was very nervous about certain things and I actually called you.
Yeah, I remember those calls.
Yeah. So,
and I appreciate those calls, because,
Same.
when you, ask me questions, it also makes me think.
I think it's very important for mid-20s guys to be mentored by women, because guys often don't have feminine perspectives about things. And was something I was very conscious about, in terms of, I was getting very masculine about my career, aggressive and, not looking at all the possible angles of things. And my mom told me you're becoming too much like a guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and she's been another mentor, but I've had these very key female mentors in my life, and you're definitely one of them.
It makes me feel so happy.
Yeah, be it in terms of just like calming me down or giving me some perspective, or even actually teaching me about the tech space, about what's happening in the world, etc. Why don't we talk a little bit about the angel investment space, because that's actually a space that you're very actively involved in, and I feel, knowing you professionally, you get people the right deals. So why don't you just talk a little bit about this whole tech startup space in India? Because someone had once told me that one of the easiest ways to multiply your money is by investing in tech startups. But then again, it's high risk, high reward. This is not investment advice, etc., etc. But Cecilia, what is this whole tech startup investment space in India like?
I mean, it's very, very exciting. And I only got into it it's probably about 6 years ago that I started, being a techie, and, got into starting the Sweden-India tech community and get exposed to all these exciting tech companies. But yes, of course, it's a risk that comes with it. But sometimes I look at it like, it's not necessarily, the wealth is not necessarily from the money that you have in your bank. It's also from the knowledge that you get along the way. So when it comes to me and my investments, I also go into industries and invest where I don't necessarily know as much about it, obviously, as the people who started the company, because then I learn on the way. And then I can also, because I have a different mindset than the founders and the rest of the team of the company, I can give another perspective and another view to what it is, that they're building. And I feel that if you're interested in investing in, being an angel investor, don't feel that you need to know exactly what's happening in that space. If you have a network and if you can connect, of course, that's what you just rightly said. It's number one when you come in as an angel investor. But it's also, if you have a mindset and a skill that might be totally different from what this company has, that's where you could potentially add a lot of value.
How much money roughly in rupees do say, okay, let's talk about just Bollywood. Roughly on an average, how much do they spend? Is it 5 lakhs? Is it in like the 25 lakh, 35 lakh range?
I think the average, say, that a big Bollywood personality would invest would be around $100,000. $100,000.
That's about 70 lakh rupees.
So yeah, 70 lakh.
Okay. In the content creation space, it's roughly about 10 to 15 lakhs. That's what people go for. Lots of people go for like a 5 lakh package. Along with that, they put in like deliverables in terms of, I'll give you so many videos or so many stories. But lots of content creators have started angel investments. And Bollywood, parallelly, even Bollywood starting a lot of angel investments suddenly.
Yeah, so that's where but that's usually I would say the ticket size that I've seen of, the Bollywood people that I've connected with various brands. But again, people are obviously, investing smaller, ticket sizes into companies.
One disclaimer I want to put here is that usually with angel investments, when you're an angel investor, you go in with a mentality that if you put money in 10 startups, only one's going to take off. But that one will probably become at least 10x. That's the big hope. So say if you are putting in 50 lakhs across 10 startups, you're putting in 5 crores. And at least if one of those takes off, you'll make back your money at least. And if 2 of them take off, you're actually going to make more money. So that's why it's very intricate as a process. You need to do a lot of research when you're going into angel investments. But a lot of people, to call themselves angel investors and to enter the cool kids group, they'll just throw their money across blindly. Do you observe that?
Yeah, no, I see that. I definitely see that, people are just jumping into it, but and not necessarily knowing enough about the founder or about the company. So that's where, of course, it's good if you know a little bit about the space that you're investing into, because then you can identify more if the company is going to fly or not. But I did also earlier say that, you don't necessarily need to know about it. If you really resonate with the company and if you still believe in the product and the business, then you have an opportunity to also help scale. But I only invest strategically. So I only invest when I feel that I can help the company scale. I'm not a passive investor. So some of the angel investors, I don't know if sometimes they go in and, do they do anything, or do they just do it for the sake of investing and being an angel investor? If you, proper angel investor, then you also ensure that you help the company to grow.
The one thing about India, and Twitter India, especially startup Twitter India also talks about this, is that we are a status-driven society where there are inflated egos, and it is about showing off your car and showing off your wealth. I know the world is as well. America is, parts of Europe are, but especially in urban India, that culture is a lot more. Which is why nowadays it's cool to say that you're an angel investor in these societies, in these parts of society. Do you notice that? Do you notice that about Indians? That it's a lot about, oh, look at me and my car and my clothes and my money.
Yeah, but I don't think that is a difference anywhere in the world. It's the same when you come to Sweden. We also look at my car, my clothes, and my money. But I think it's a healthy thing, though, to talk about your investments as compared to your car and your clothes, because at least that there is an intelligent angle to it, so that we've come to that state in India. I think it's a positive thing. It inspires others. So even if people don't invest, they look at the companies and they maybe think about investments per se. But I do see it, of course.
Gotcha.
I see it globally.
You're an experienced professional. You worked across industries. What are the 5 skills that one needs to actually make money in life, according to you? And ideally, probably, could you name 5 skills that they don't teach you in school or college, which you've just learned along the way? Or 5 traits, which have probably worked for you in your own journey of building your career, building all this equity, wealth, etc., etc.
Good question. Number 1, I would say, would be to think out of the box and explore new territories, because that's often where you have the biggest opportunities. And number 2 would be to nurture your relationships. Very important. You don't know when you're going to need one person, during your journey. So that's something that I have done and that I continue to do on a regular basis. And number 3 would be to keep inventing yourself, to learn new things. Don't get stuck in like one place. And if there is something, even though you're not actually are passionate about it, it could be interesting and good for you to learn about it so that you can make a difference in that particular space as well. Number 4 would be to have mentors. I think there are so many people that have, of course, done many things. They failed and they exceeded and excelled in various industries. So for me, mentors have been an important part. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person that you can actually have your personal one-on-one with. You can listen to mentors. You can listen to podcasts with yourself, Tim Ferriss, etc., and you can learn so much from them. And number 5 would still be thinking ahead of the game and thinking for the future, because you would want to do something that you're proud of in the future. So what are you going to tell your grandchildren one day that you built or that you did? How did you contribute to positive climate or culture or whatever it is that you feel very strongly for? So think long term as well, and make things that will make you proud and people after you proud as well.
Now, while you put forth a deep mindset, I do have a shallow point to add, which I really bat for, because I see, especially Indian guys, do this wrong. They don't focus on presentation. They don't focus on how they dress. They don't focus on the shoes they wear, how well they're groomed. In some cases, people don't really know what to say where. And I'm talking very generally. Of course, it's all mixed and there's some very well-spoken Indian guys out there. But I feel this whole angle. Have you seen the movie Hitch with Will Smith? There needs to be a Hitch kind of figure, which BeerBiceps was trying to do 2-3 years ago, who teaches, especially Indian guys, how to present themselves. Because I've seen that that's a skill that's just, I won't say it's gotten me far in my career, but it's helped lubricate situations for me. Where I've needed that little extra help in order to be memorable for someone, in order to sell something better. Just being well-dressed has helped. For example, when we started Monk Entertainment, people didn't take us seriously in our sales pitches, even though we were well-dressed and all. So then I kept asking myself, okay, what's the root cause of this? And I figured that they didn't want to work with younger guys. We were 23, 24. So it was a little weird for them to just give us a big contract. So I started wearing suits for the meetings and everything changed.
But that's interesting, because I also feel, of course, it's extremely important to, take care of yourself and, take care of your presence and be representable, the way that you look and the way that you talk, which you could, again, learn from a lot of the mentors that, you could listen to or meet or, interact with or observe for that matter. But also when I feel sometimes when it comes to if you're wearing, if you dress up too much, putting a suit on, trying to do a sales pitch, etc., you always also want to stick truly to who you are, because if you're trying to be someone else, a person like me would totally, pick that up.
On that. Okay.
But yes, very important, of course. Take care of yourself in the best possible, possible way, and that starts off by I would say number 1 is exercising, meditating, sticking to your routine, being a nice person.
Got it. That sets the tone for the rest of it.
That sets the tone. If you do that, automatically, I think you will look good and be presentable. But obviously, you need to wear something more presentable. But having a tie and having a suit, it's definitely not the way to think about it.
No,
It's
fair.
about
Uh,
what's behind it.
yeah, I kind of also meant just get your basics right in terms of dressing. Like, focus on clean shoes, focus on well-ironed clothes,
Yeah.
dress appropriately for situations.
Have lovely hair like you have, etc.
Thank you. I would say the same about you. Like, you're such a presentable person. That's what people pick up about you a lot. I don't know if I think you're aware of this. You're self-aware enough to know that.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I don't always look at myself in the mirror and say, "Oh my God, I'm presentable," but I really appreciate when people give me a compliment like that.
Like you put thought into it. It's a part of the Cecilia brand. I feel your brand kind of stays with you even based on, where you go, not just digitally, but physically where you go, you're carrying a brand there. So something I picked up from you, like just observing you, how the way you carry yourself, plus the way you treat people around you. Can I ask you a personal question?
But you've asked many personal questions, so what's stopping you?
Do looks matter for you at all?
It does, but it's
Okay.
going to be my
Subjective.
companion or my better half. Then looks.
Are you comfortable sharing more details about what you specifically look for? And it's different for different human beings.
I think the problem is that I don't have one type. I have many
Okay.
types. I'm very attracted to this tall, blonde,
Viking.
well-built Viking men in Sweden. But so I don't really have a particular type as such. But
Okay. Cool. Fair. Would Shah Rukh Khan count as your type?
he's not my type.
He's not your type
No.
in terms of looks.
No.
Why not?
I don't know what it is, but he's not the but I'm there's a lot of people that have actually asked me the same question.
Okay.
But in regards to him in particular, because I guess, women fall for him whatever they fall like. But he's not my type.
Plus dark hair, brown eyes.
Give me some other names. I'm not going to give you
Are you
any one name.
are you
Yeah,
fam-
you go for it. Give
Are you
me some
familiar with
name.
Indian actors?
I will tell you yes, no. Give me
Rit-
5 and I will say yes,
Hrithik
no.
Roshan.
Not really.
Really? Not Hrithik Roshan?
No.
Why not?
No, there's something, and he doesn't look, he doesn't have that masculine energy
Okay.
that I look for.
Fair. See, I what I like about this conversation is I feel fiction and content and films can really take away your subconscious mind. So Indian men have watched Indian films, Indian women have watched Indian films, and based on the actors acting in it,
Absolutely.
we get attracted or whatever to a particular person. In saying that, I do think Hrithik Roshan is incredibly good looking. I don't know if you've seen this movie called Jodha Akbar.
No, I haven't, but I've
Okay.
seen the trailers of it, and I can see what you're saying when you say that. But I also met him, and I've seen him, in real life, and probably because I did that before even watching any movie, I have a different
Okay.
view
fair.
on him. He's a good-looking guy, but he's not my type.
Okay. Do you know who Akshay Kumar is?
I know who he is. Yes,
Okay. Is he your type?
not necessarily. I mean, he's masculine. He has
Yeah.
that. I give him that, but he's not the.
Okay,
Not my
fair.
type.
John Abraham.
I thought he was my type, and he's still, he's actually all the guys that you've mentioned. He definitely has the look. But God, I'm sounding like a very
No, it's
no,
okay. It's
no, just-
your opinion. It's fine. People are curious.
okay, okay. No, but he's we're getting there. We're getting closer.
Okay. Ranveer Kapoor.
I like his energy and his fun and everything around it. And maybe if I spend some time with him, he'll be my type. But
Okay.
by just looking at him, it's not necessarily the
Fair.
one.
Ranveer Singh.
He's cool.
So he's your type.
He's more of my type of the people that you mentioned. But I think I'd have to spend some more time with him, and I don't know if Deepika Padukone is gonna.
Let's do the international version of this.
Okay.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, I mean, who
Okay.
wouldn't go for Ronaldo?
Because of his alphaness.
I mean, I like that.
Okay. Like the superstar
It
mentality.
doesn't have to be though. I mean, I turned quite a few superstars down,
Yeah,
like Virat
yeah,
Kohli
fair.
and Shah Rukh Khan. So it's not only that.
Tom Cruise.
No,
Not your type? Have you seen Top Gun? Have you seen the new Top
I
Gun?
saw it recently. I loved it.
Okay.
He looks really good for being 59.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt,
Used to be, but not any longer.
after what he did to Angelina.
Not necessarily, but I think also you have like different types in different stages of your life.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily my type.
Why
But yeah,
don't-
definitely. It's a good, I mean, obviously there is a lot of things around him that is good. So,
What do you mean different types and different stages of your life?
no, but I think you have that. I'm just, really digging into this now. But I think everyone changes, right? The way that they are, the way that, they move, things that they do. Some people age well, some people don't, depending maybe on them taking care of themselves. If they, drink too much or take too much drugs, etc. They might have looked fresh and energetic in their 20s, but some of them, when they're in their 50s, they look
Really worn out?
yes. And I don't like that because that's, showing that you didn't take care of yourself. And I like people to take care of themselves. You would be my type.
Really?
Yeah, you're very cute. You're really, like smart, cute, happy, good energy, treat people right.
So the personality is like much more important. Basically, that's what I'm.
No, you don't think that you look good.
I don't think about it in general, but I know I look good enough to build a good brand. Okay, so I trained Tanmay Bhatt from AIB back in the day.
Yeah.
I used to be his trainer, and I had a very functional way to look at my career. So my Instagram I started off as a cooking and fitness channel.
Okay.
So it would either be cooking photos or videos, or it would be, hey, this is how you do a bicep curl. And I never thought looks were a part of it. And then when I went to his house, he used to hang out with these comics. And if you hang out with enough stand-up comics, you realize that they roast each other. But they never roasted me. And the way to roast me was, hey, you're such a cute looking guy. You could steal my girlfriend. And that's why I began thinking that, okay, maybe I look above average and all that. So because I was like an engineering grad, so you don't really think about these things. And I was too motivated about doing something with my life. So Tanmay told me that, listen, you look good, you look different, market that, make that a part of your brand. So then to be experimental, I started clicking good photos and putting it up on my Instagram. And those photos started doing way better than the cooking videos and the...
You see?
Yeah. But so I that's how I figured. And I don't... I'll tell you what, I think I'm aging very well. Because I'm very, very focused on my meditation and the yoga. And I'm 110% certain that both help you reverse age.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're also into yoga and meditation, right?
I am.
Have you experienced this? So in the world of like yoga, they call it having tej on your face. Tej means how do you explain? Like energy?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like a glow.
Which I said.
Huh?
Which I said.
No, but you have it as well. But the glow is like, it is visual, but it's also something you feel from the person. And you have that a lot, which is what I said about.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is a good one. So I think, definitely yoga, meditation, gives you that glow and people with that glow. So even if they're really good looking, if they don't have that glow.
Have you met people like that?
Yeah, I meet so many people who are
really good looking, but
not the glow. They don't have the spark. Again, you mentioned some names, good looking dudes, but do they have the glow? Not so sure.
It comes from a place of being happy on the inside. Have you had any spiritual experiences in India?
I would say even coming to India was a spiritual experience itself.
Okay.
I often think about why I ended up here. And I encounter, different interesting, how do I put it, people, gurus, animals, all the time. So I'm not necessarily like stuck to any religion or any guru or anything as such, but the way that I come across different people I definitely have a lot of spiritual experiences, but I'm not sure exactly what to put a finger on. But of course, I mentioned about the Dalai Lama, Sadhguru. I've met, spent a lot of time in Rishikesh with, sadhus and.
What was that? What was that like? The Rishikesh experience?
Beautiful. I love to go there and just be there and speak to sadhus and to just like meditate and be by the Ganga and go for the different ceremonies, and I've done some trainings up there in everything from like Tibetan singing bowls, and I've done the different. I've done my Reiki courses in Rishikesh.
What's the most beautiful place you've seen in your life?
Wow, that's a tough question. I've traveled the world, but the most beautiful place is probably the place that comes back to me frequently. It kind of stays with me and is always in my heart, and that's a place in the north of Sweden. I have a little house by a lake where there is no other houses. It's just my house, the lake, and the forest.
Wow.
And it's a very peaceful, serene, special place. And I would love to take you there one day.
100%. Like, I'm just visualizing it, and I see why you would say that, knowing who you are as a person. I've known you for 3 years, but over the course of this podcast, I felt I got to know you much more deeply. So, Cecilia Oldne, thank you. This was a super fun episode. For me, it was just getting to know a dear friend of mine and someone who's taught me like a lot without knowing that they've taught me a lot. So thank you for everything.
Thank you. Same to you. I've been on a few shows, but this is by far the nicest interaction that I've had.
I'm glad. Thank you, Cecilia. So that was the episode for today. I feel like as fantastic as our country is in terms of perspectives, the one thing we kind of lack as a society is that we don't have a very, very conversational culture in English. I feel that when it comes to Hindi, there's a lot of conversationalists out there. But as for the English conversationalists, there's honestly not that many. And this is coming after more than 200 podcasts recorded by us in the English language. So at this point, I want to feature stories from Swedes and Americans and Africans and people from all over the globe. Cecilia's podcast was only the first international flavored podcast of this new season of TRS. There's a lot more coming your way. So keep following us. But make sure to follow us on Spotify, because every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. Lots more coming your way on TRS. Do drop your suggestions. Are there other foreign nationals in India that you'd like to see featured on the show? Let me know right now in the comments. We will see you soon.